Greetings to all my tech heads out there in the KevTechify nation. And if you're new here, welcome. In this episode, we're going to look at VPN technology. We'll be discussing virtual private networks, VPN benefits, site-to-site and remote access VPNs, and then finally, we're going to look at enterprise and service provider VPNs. This episode is part of my series on enterprise networking, security, and automation for the Cisco Certified Networking Associate, also known as the CCNA. I'm Kevin here at KevTechify. Let's get this adventure started. VPN is virtual. It's virtual as in it carries information within its own private network, but that own private network is over the public network. It goes over the internet. The VPN is a private, and how it stays private is it encrypts that traffic. It keeps all that data confidential while it's being transported across that public network, across the internet. Organizations can use VPNs to reduce their connectivity costs while simultaneously increasing the remote connection bandwidth. We don't have to have dedicated connections anymore for all of your remote users or even connecting to remote sites. And modern VPNs have bandwidth almost equal to the broadband connections they're working over. Encryption and authentication protocols protect data from unauthorized access. We are now able to encrypt them using advanced cryptology, so that way if the data is intercepted, nobody is able to see what we've been sent. Scalability. VPNs allow organizations to grow. We can now have different buildings, different offices in remote locations, all connecting back into the home office. We can have remote users spread out across the entire globe. And it's very easy to add new users, new locations using VPN technology. And VPNs can be implemented across a wide array of WAN link options, from the home connections where we're looking at cable or DSL and fiber to the home, all the way through wireless connections on mobile devices to corporate connections where we have high-speed broadband connections to those remote locations. Remote workers can use these high-speed connections to gain secure access to your corporate network. On a site-to-site VPN, the encryption and decryption for the VPN happens on devices that aren't the clients. The clients have no knowledge the VPN exists. In this example right here, the tunnel exists between the VPN gateway at the client's place and then the VPN at the corporate headquarters. The end user, this laptop over here, has no knowledge that this connection is happening because this user plugs into the network at the remote location and it appears just like they're on the corporate network. The encryption and decryption is happening by other devices, typically your edge router here. And that edge router will then connect into the VPN gateway at your corporate location. And that end device, that laptop, you don't have to run any special VPN software on there to have that connection back to the corporate office. A remote access VPN is dynamically created. It establishes that secure connection between a client and your corporate office or that VPN gateway. Here, the client, and we have a laptop, they have to initiate the connection. How do they connect? Typically, that end user on that laptop needs to initiate the connection by running some sort of application or little program on their client that then connects into the VPN gateway. And then once that's established, that laptop appears on the corporate network just like if they would physically connect in at the corporate office. Companies typically use an enterprise managed VPN to send traffic across the internet. Site-to-site and remote access VPNs are created and managed by the enterprise using IPsec and SSL VPNs. The company has the software, they run the hardware that the software connects into from the clients or the remote locations. They control everything. And the site-to-site VPNs typically here are IPsec an IPsec VPN or GRE over IPsec. We can even get into the Cisco Dynamic Multi-Virtual Private Networks to set that up. And if we're going from one location to another, we can even set up an IP virtual tunnel interface. And that's where you have your two routers typically do the encryption and decryption. Remote access VPNs are a client-side IPsec VPN connection is what we see is the most common one nowadays. It's typically deemed the most secure, but we also see the clientless SSL connection happening. Besides the enterprise running VPNs, we also see service providers setting up their own VPNs. And what the service providers do for the VPNs they set up is when you go to your service provider and say, I need a connection from my company here to my company located over there 100 miles away, they typically set you up a VPN. Now, this VPN is usually a layer 2 or layer 3 MPLS, a multi-protocol label switch. Happens at layer 2 or layer 3 of the OSI model, and it creates channels between enterprise sites. And what this does is it segregates the traffic from other customer traffic. And these VPNs allow the traffic to travel through the internet encrypted without any interference from anybody else because of the encryption and because of how these MPLS VPNs are set up. It was my pleasure to provide you with this wonderful episode on VPN technology. If you like this episode and you got value out of it, and of course, depending upon what platform you're using, please click that like button, give a 5-star rating, leave a comment. This all helps me bring you more great content. Please take a minute to subscribe to my channel. All my socials and contact information are on my website, KevTechify.com. There you can find out how to get all these episodes in video and podcast form. In the upper right is my playlist for my series on enterprise networking, security, and automation for the CCNA. In the bottom right is one of my favorite videos that I linked just for you. Thank you so much for watching this episode on my series of enterprise networking, security, and automation for the CCNA. Once again, I'm Kevin. This is KevTechify. I'll see you next time for another great adventure.